How are you? And I know you're excited about our guest.
I am doing great, Neil. And yes, I am more excited about our guest than our guest can imagine. I'm excited about our guest, Katie Sackhoff. Katie, you have been in every show. It's interesting that you grew up the Star Trek fan and then you're Battlestar Galactica superstar and Mandalorian and Longmire. And I don't know that there's a show that you haven't been on. You even played yourself on The Big Bang Theory. I mean, who gets to do that? And you're beautiful and you are so funny and you're so fun to
Oh,
listen to. I love your podcast. I love everything that you do. Katie, welcome to the show.
oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, thanks for being here. I love your show because it's so human, right? Like you
Oh,
bring
yeah.
on people and it just is this fun conversation that we get to listen in on. How how fun is it for you?
So I thank you so much for saying that. That was my goal. I've been doing this a long time, like you said, almost 30 years now. And one of the things that I love is when I run into a friend that I worked with or that I watched their TV show, but we met maybe in an audition room 20 years ago or something like that. And we get a moment to talk. Whenever we talk, it's not about work, it's about life. And those are the conversations I always found were missing in the in-between interviews. You know what I mean? Like you think you know so much about your favorite actor. And I wanted to create a space where my friends, my coworkers, people I was a fan of that I admired, felt comfortable talking about themselves and who they are and what makes them tick. And I'm so curious about how people ended up where they are because I do believe that life is so much like sliding doors. And I'm always curious how we find ourselves where we find ourselves.
That's absolutely true. And I think, starting a podcast, I've been doing this for over 15 years, interviewed about
Mm.
15,000 people, and there's nothing like it. There's just something, podcasting, radio, television, any form of medium where you get to interview somebody and get to learn something. Every interview is just so amazing. So, what are your thoughts so
Yeah,
far doing podcasting?
I agree completely. A couple things I learned right when I started doing this was I felt so unprepared. I talked to my therapist like right after, and he diagnosed me not from podcasting, but I think I finally became open to hearing him. He diagnosed me with ADHD, and I was like, it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. I told my husband because I was like, the doctor diagnosed me with ADHD, and my husband looked at me like I was nuts and was like, well, yeah, like you didn't know that? Like, no, I didn't know that. And I think so that came out of this. And what I realized was that because of that, because of the way that I was raised and the way my family communicates, which is just we talk all over each other, that I had no idea how to listen, no idea how to listen to someone. And that is at its core the most important part of having a conversation with someone. And I had to learn how to sit and listen to someone. And that was really hard for me. And it wasn't from a place of disrespect. It was that my brain was working so fast and my mouth would go so quickly that I just steamrolled people. And my friends as well. And I would say to them, am I a terrible listener? And they're like, absolutely not. You just have a lot of energy. And I was like, oh, I need to teach myself how to be a better listener. And that came out of the podcast too, which is so important because I agree with you that there's something really beautiful about being curious about people and then listening to their story.
Yeah, that's so true. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm your long lost twin or something because I had a very similar situation and it was hard for me to really figure out how to listen because I thought that I could be in conversation and think of who needs to go to soccer practice and what I'm going to make for dinner and a meeting I have later. And you find out quickly that it's not true. And you hear a whole different way, I believe, when you really focus in and really listen, and what a gift to give somebody else, right? To listen to them. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it's funny to me too, Katie, something you brought up earlier, that it's like every day leads you till today, right? And so like you could have been in the Olympics as a swimmer, and then you had an injury. So then that led you to something else, and then that led you to something else and something else. And here you are today. And you've had quite a journey.
Yeah, I think one of the commonalities between the people that I talk to, the people that are successful in any aspect of their life, that even just like I'm talking to my dad, people that have the ability to pivot and that don't get hung up in what they thought their life was going to be are the successful ones. Because I think a lot of the times we don't allow ourselves to go where the universe is trying to take us because we're so caught up in what we thought we wanted. And that is a real common thread between people, is really just trusting your instinct and going where you feel you're a pull. And I think that is that sliding doors thing that we were talking about, right? If you feel a pull, go there, try something, and granted, life takes hold, you have children, all of these things where it's not as easy to do that kind of stuff as we get older. But
Yeah.
you still have the ability to do it. You still have the ability to stay open to change and experience things that are outside of your comfort zone. I would have never done a podcast had I let my brain stop me, and I enjoy it so much. And you never know what it's going to turn out to be. Who knows? I have no expectations.
100%. One other thing I wanted to say is I'm a Battlestar Galactica fan of the original. Never saw the next series. So you have to smack me, and I'm going to go back and watch this. It's on my list now because I watched when I was a kid, Battlestar Galactica. I would go whenever it was on TV and they were going to do like reruns of every episode all the way through the series. I would like binge it before there was binging. It's a memory as a kid. So it's one of the biggest things. So I cannot wait to check out Battlestar Galactica that you were in for sure. Now I'm going to throw the last question, a love question, to Kim. Kim, go ahead with your love question.
Okay, so Katie, you went through cancer. I went through cancer, and in the middle of my cancer, my husband got cancer and passed away. And so it made me wonder what love really is. And so I dedicated a year to figuring out the true meaning of love. I was in Haiti most of the time I was doing it. And the things that I found out about love just blew my mind. And so I'm always curious where love plays a role in your life. Like I can feel it through the phone. I mean, I can't even see your face, but I can feel your energy. And you got to love what you do, but also loving the people you're with, or I'm putting words in your mouth. I should just let you answer the question. Where does love show up for you?
Well, first of all, I'm so sorry for your loss. I can't imagine. The strength. I don't think people understand this, and I'm saying this as a mother whose daughter has cancer as well. And I've been open about this on my podcast, and I've had my own. The ability to get up every day when you have pain and you have loss is superhuman. And so I applaud you on that. That is really, really hard to do. And to continue to live your life is really hard. So I'm in awe of that. And it is, you learn so much about love and life when you realize the fragility of it.
Mm-hmm. So true.
And I think that for me, one of the things that has become very, very clear to me is that tomorrow is absolutely not promised. We hear people say this all the time. We hear people with authority say this all the time. And we can't grasp it until it actually happens to us. Tomorrow is not promised. We have absolutely no idea how long we're going to be here. And the only thing that matters is the people that we surround ourselves with and loving with a full open heart and being brave in that love. And that is really hard and really scary, but you only get one shot and that's it. And that is your legacy, you know? And so that's what I've learned about love.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, Katie, again, your podcast is available everywhere. Go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any of the places, and check it out. Do you have a website for the podcast as well, Katie? People can check it out.
We do have a website. We also have a Gmail, so you can send us your questions and stuff at thesakoffshow@gmail.com. We are also at thesakoffshow.com, and we've got we're on all the socials and everywhere, but we're everywhere you find your podcast and YouTube. New episodes every Tuesday.
Appreciate it. Thanks again, Katie.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you. Thank you
all right.
so much, both of
You're
you.
welcome. Bye-bye. That was a special simulcast of the Neil Haley